Hi, everybody. My name is George Carrillo, and you're here on Oregon Legacy for another episode. Today, we have Jeff Gudman with us. He participated in the Treasury debate that I moderated a few weeks ago, also with Senator Steiner. And, we had a really great conversation. And today, we're going to have more of a conversation, just really lighthearted, trying to get to know Jeff a little bit more. The primary is coming up here on Tuesday, May 21st. So let me introduce Jeff and bring him onto the stage with me. Hey, Jeff, thanks for coming on the show with us.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's appreciated.
You seem a little bit grainy. All of a sudden, it seems like you froze a little bit.
Oh,
but we'll see if we can get through it. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
So let's start it off. What did you think of the debate? What did that feel like for you?
I thought it went very well. It was very clear a lot of the work that you did and the team did in advance, with the questions that were asked, the way it was set up, the opportunity to do follow-up. It was, quite frankly, the best format that I've participated in this campaign. It was great. I can't think of a way it could have been made better.
Well, thank you for that.
I could think of a way it could have been better. If I was the only candidate, it would have been better.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way this time, Jeff.
But no, it doesn't. But I thought it was great, and I appreciate everything you guys did.
Well, thank you. There was a lot of time and effort put into it. The People's AV and others really put a lot of work and dedication into that. We wanted to prove that we can also provide a platform and utilize our network of people to bring awareness to the campaign. So I wanted to dive a little bit more about Jeff. I think, this has been a long campaign season. We've heard all the differences between you and the senator when it comes to policy and everything like that. But let's talk a little bit about Jeff. What gets you so excited about being a financial advisor? How did that journey start for you?
Oh my goodness. Well, my dad was in business on the financial side. And so I grew up in a household where the conversation was about business, about financial issues. It wasn't something that happened every night, but as I was growing up and going through school and then on to college and business school, it was nice to be able to talk with my dad about these various issues. And then when I finally, ended up picking a major both for college and then in my business school, it was a very easy transition to go into the financial field. And I just find I enjoy it. I like learning about it, and I like having conversations with people to help educate them about it. I'm always reminded of a wonderful story when I served on the board of the Legacy Hospital Foundations. And as a part of that, I was an ex officio member of the finance committee for the entire Legacy system. And a couple of sisters were serving on that committee. And apparently at one meeting, they were paying a lot of attention to the financial results for the Legacy system. And somebody asked them, we thought you'd pay more attention to the care and the charity work. And they looked at the chair of the meeting and they said, "No money, no mission." I've never forgotten that line, and it's so true. I mean, we can have the best missions of all, but if you don't have the financial support to make it happen, and so that sort of brings me full circle as to why I'm running for treasurer, because I think I can bring the skills that I have to bear to help make things better for Oregonians.
When you think about the challenges that are ahead of you, what do you think is going to be most challenging? Do you think it's going to be trying to find the right financial investments, or do you think it's going to be working with the legislature or sort of getting agencies to understand how to use their budgets? What seems to be in your mind that's going to be a barrier?
I could say all of the above. With your experience, you've lived it all. But if I were to pick the most challenging one to do, I think it's going to be persuading people that the logic of what's being developed, and I want to develop it with a team of people, including voices that haven't been heard in the past, to bring them to the table, build the table for them to be there, but to persuade the two parties to step outside an ideology of automatically saying no or automatically saying yes to something. To say, wait a minute, this is a good idea. I'm going to step outside my ideology because I think it benefits Oregonians. That, I think, will be the most challenging conversations to have. It's doable, and I think I'm pretty good at it because it was when I served on city council, getting to 7-0 votes on difficult issues. But I think that's going to be the most challenging, and I'll work very hard at that. One of the things I hope to do, I'm fortunate enough to become treasurer, when the legislative session starts at my office in Salem, is every Friday evening or Thursday night, whichever day of the week the legislative session ends for that particular week, is to have a barbecue in the office or outside the office, hot dogs, burgers, or whatever it is, and invite all the legislators. Hey, if you can come by, stop by and grab a burger before you take off, to help develop those personal relationships that will then make the logic of what I want to be proposing and the team will be proposing go forward. And I think, but that goes back to, I think, the single biggest challenge is getting people to step outside their ideology and say what's best overall, regardless of whether it's a Republican or Democratic idea.
That you have been on both sides of the aisle, and I'm curious to see what that will look like. And do you have any feelings on that? Do you think people are going to be like, no, I don't want Jeff because he's not a true Democrat, or he's a traitor, he went to the Democratic Party? What do you think your reception will be like?
I think you're absolutely correct on that. I think people are going to be able to look at me and say, number one, just as you said, the treasurer position ought to be nonpartisan. Who brings the strongest financial background? Who brings decades of experience? That's me. But they're also going to say, wait, okay, he has looked at it from both sides. He can be an honest broker in trying to move things forward to make things better for Oregonians, particularly those who haven't been at the table before, which is something I'm going to be very focused on, building those tables for people who haven't been there, so they're at the table when the decision making is going on, not simply being informed after the fact. So we are on the exact same page in terms of the fact that I was a Republican, changed to my registration to Democratic, and we have the great example of that recently. The treasurer prior to Ted Wheeler, Ben Westland, when he took office as the treasurer of Oregon, he'd been a Democrat 8 months longer than what I've been a Democrat, and he was a much loved figure in Salem. I'm going for that goal to be able to accomplish things, be looked at as an honest broker, and we'll let history judge if I'm much loved or not.
We'll see about that. I want to talk about some financial challenges here, just like on a personal level. And I think this is for everybody, was when the world came to a halt during the pandemic. It changed everybody's lives. I said this before, where it's like, I got that text message from the school. It was, school's closed indefinitely. And it's like, oh my goodness, how are we gonna both work? How are we gonna, take care of 2 kids in school? And, things just started changing dramatically. And then all of a sudden inflation took over, and it's been this whirlwind of this, really financial unrest since the pandemic. What did that look like for you? What did that look like for your clients too during that period of the pandemic?
Yeah, it was, I'm a single man. And so while my life was upended, it was not upended nearly as much as people with families. And we're still seeing the impact of that. I mean, you see, people who are graduating from college this year weren't able to graduate, and it's being disrupted, different reasons, but they're being disrupted. But they didn't even get to, and when they graduated from high school, because of COVID, they could not gather together. And I think one of the lessons that came out of COVID, which we want to apply if we get another disease that comes through like COVID, is the social impact. Because there was so much, I'll call it the social capital, that was destroyed because of COVID. And I'm reminded, again, going back to a story about my dad. He was born in 1913. He was 6-7 years old when the Great Flu epidemic hit us right after World War I. And I remember him telling stories and seeing some pictures with the kids in school. This was in New York City. They were all bundled up and the windows were wide open to keep the air flowing through. And this was in the middle of winter. And I'm not advocating that we do that if we have another impact like COVID, but I think something like that if happens again, we need to factor in a bit more, not just the physical part of the disease of COVID, but also what the social impact is. How it impacted people around me was, again, you lost all those social contacts. They're getting very difficult to rebuild. And people became more isolated, which I think in turn helps contribute to some of the challenges we're facing today.
I went to Starbucks the other day and I got a coffee, a small coffee, and a sandwich. Yes. And it was almost $20. And I was like, I'm sorry, did you think I ordered two of everything? It was like, no, I couldn't believe the price hike on it. It is, yeah. I think it's affecting everybody. And, I know that the treasurer doesn't control all of that. But, what's your feelings on not as a candidate or anything, but what's your feelings just on the economy right now? What's happening?
Well, if I were to listen to nothing but the news, most of the news, it would seem like the economy is not doing well. People are hurting. And overall, the economy is doing very well. But when you drill down on the individual basis, it's exactly as you said. People are saying that something. Say, wait a minute. A year ago, I was paying $4 for this item. Now I'm paying $5, and the package is 5% smaller. What's going on? And so that's where the disconnect is about what people are saying, where they are. I think there's a number of people who are saying, hey, I'm doing okay, but my neighbor next door is hurting. And part of that is just exactly what you've described. But that's something the treasurer can do, particularly in Oregon, to get out and about as much as they can and say, okay, here's how the economy is doing in total in Oregon, but also here's how it's impacting people on an individual basis. One of the things I always try and keep in mind is while the policy and the big picture statements are important, you need to understand it, but you also always need to relate it back to what's it mean for individual people, and make sure that what's going well for the individual is the same thing at the big picture, and the big picture for the individual. That's what it's all about, is trying to help every individual in Oregon, if you be all they can be, in the opportunities that we can give to them.
Well, Jeff, I want to thank you. I've learned so much about the treasurer because of the race between you and the senator. It's been educational for me. I didn't realize how much I didn't know about the treasurer's office. It's not something that's like widely talked about in the media, or that most people are, like for myself, uneducated on the topic. But you've provided me that opportunity to learn more and to moderate the debates. And I really appreciate the time that you've taken. And I want to be able to give you an opportunity for any sort of closing remarks.
But thank you for all the work that you're doing. Thank you for your service with as executive director with POTR, and the efforts that are going there to provide opportunity. I serve on another board, a nonprofit board at Clackamas Free Clinic, and the strategic plan that was put together by you and your team, I was able to cite some statistics during that board meeting to say, hey, we've got a need to address here. So the work that you're doing helped me in a different position where I'm also serving as treasurer on a board. So thank you for this opportunity. If I'm fortunate enough to become the treasurer of Oregon, I look forward to our continuing conversations.
Thank you, Jeff. And thank you to all the viewers. Remember to vote Tuesday, May 21st. It's the election. We're fortunate here in Oregon that we can mail in our ballots, regardless of who you vote for, but participate in our democracy. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.